State's first witness available.
Cathy Knutson.
The state's witnesses are usually going to be down in a room that they're sharing on the second floor. So when they call a witness, it may take us some time to get them from the second floor up here. So during that process, if you need to stand and stretch, feel free to do so, okay? We don't always know when one witness is going to be done and the next one's going to be available. Raise your right hand. You promise testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Have a seat.
And if you could please state your first name and last name and spell them both for the record, okay?
Cathy Knutson, CathyKnutson.
Can everybody hear okay? Ma'am, can you tell the jury how you're employed, please?
I'm a 911 dispatcher for the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office.
And what does it mean to be a 911 dispatcher?
Answer 911 and administrative calls, excuse me, and dispatch out any needed people.
And how are you trained to become a 911 dispatcher?
There's a certification program through the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy and through Department of Public Safety.
And are you a certified 911 dispatcher here in the state of Iowa?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been a dispatcher that's been certified here in Iowa?
16 years total.
So if somebody calls a 911 or places a 911 call on a cell phone, do you have screens in front of you that can tell you where the call is originating, or how does that work?
Calls from a cell phone would come in. Typically, it'll grab the nearest tower. That tower information will load onto our computer. It looks like a computer screen. And then you can rebid the call is what they call it, and it'll get more of a location. Not an address, but a location of where the call's coming from.
Okay. So when calls come into the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office and you're the dispatch answering the calls, are those calls recorded?
Yes, they are.
Do you have to push a button to record them, or are they just recorded automatically?
No, our system records automatically every phone call coming in.
I want to talk to you about a 911 call that you received on August 30th, 2017 at 12:55 in the afternoon, okay?
Okay.
Were you in fact working that day?
Yes, I was.
And did you receive a 911 call at 12:55 that afternoon of August 30th, 2017?
Yes, I did.
Was that call recorded?
Yes, it was.
Did that caller identify himself?
He did.
And what, or how did he identify himself?
He identified himself as Zach Cohen.
And did he give you a location for where the call was coming from?
Yes.
And you said the call was recorded, right?
Correct.
Have you listened to it prior to coming on the witness stand here today?
Yes, I have.
Is it accurate?
Yes, it is.
Have you also had a chance to review Court's Exhibit number 151, which is a transcript of that 911 call?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd move to admit State's Exhibit number 1 for the jury and Court Exhibit number 151.
Any objection? They're admitted.
Your Honor, permission to publish State's Exhibit number 1 and allow the jurors, just for purposes of listening to the call, have State's Exhibit number 151 passed out to them.
Any objection? Granted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
Proceed.
Thank you.
Any objection? Proceed.
Chickasaw County 911.
This is Zach Cohen. We need an ambulance sent out here to my apartment.
Okay, what's your address, Zach?
107 South Hilltop Avenue in Alta Vista.
Okay, what's going on?
Around 9, my girlfriend went to feed our son, and then about 11 or 11:30, she went to check on him, and he was gone.
Gone, meaning?
He died.
Okay.
He said He's like probably 4 months. I don't know if it's sudden death syndrome or what.
Okay, so you live at 107 South Hilltop in Alta Vista? What,
Apartment 7.
apartment 7? Okay, and your son is 4 months old, and the last time that you was checked on was 9?
No, she was fed him at 9.
Okay.
And she hadn't heard him, she went to check on him, hadn't heard him cry or whatever, and so probably about 11:30, 11:40, she went to check on him. He passed away.
Okay, so that's the last time they checked on him. Okay, what's your phone number there, Zach?
406-223-2193. Pretty sure it was the last time she checked. She woke me up, so I'm kind of in shock. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll get them paged out, okay? I'm going to send an ambulance and everybody up there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
And Your Honor, if the jurors could pass those down, I can collect them.
I can have the court attendant do it.
Okay.
Ms. Mishak, would you collect those, please?
Thank you, Your Honor.
The transcript is an admitted exhibit, so it will be available to you in the jury room at the conclusion, but you cannot keep exhibits throughout the trial.
Thank you very much. Ms. Knutson, State's Exhibit number 1, the audio we just played, was that your voice as the dispatcher on that call?
Yes, it was.
And the address that the caller gave of 107 South Hilltop Avenue in Alta Vista, is that in the confines of Chickasaw County, Iowa?
Yes, it is.
After you got the call, what did you do?
I paged out ambulance, first responders, and sent law enforcement to respond to that address.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Cross? No questions, Your Honor. Can this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. You may step down.
Thank you.
State's next witness.
State calls Toni Friedrich.
Come forward. And up here, Ms. Friedrich. Raise your right hand. You promise testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Have a seat. Ms. Timmons.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Ms. Friedrich, you want to take a break?
My name is Toni Friedrich.
Can you spell your last name for the court reporter?
Friedrich.
Frederick, you recently retired, is that correct?
That's correct.
Where did you work at?
I worked at St. Mary's Hospital in Rochester, Minnesota for the Mayo Foundation. I worked in the intensive care unit after you have heart surgery. We do heart surgery on newborns all the way to adults on my unit. We take care of them.
How long have you done that for?
For about 30 years.
What is the full amount of years that you've had in the medical field?
It's about 35.
And when did you retire?
Just last month.
What is your educational background?
I got my Associates of Diploma in Associates of Arts degree from Mason City, Iowa. I have certificates in basic life support, adult, advanced adult life support, pediatrics life support, and I'm also a county medical examiner investigator through our county in Chickasaw.
What does that mean?
That means that if someone dies unexpectedly, they would call one of us. There's 3 of us in the county. They would call one of us, and we would go out and assess and survey the situation, and then hand our assessment over to the medical examiner in the county, and then he would write the death report.
Or it could also go to the state medical examiner.
Absolutely. If we deem that it needs to go to the state medical, there's certain criteria we go by, and if we deem that it needs to go for an autopsy, we send it either to the state medical examiner, or we can also send it to Mason City, Iowa.
Now, you also have worked as a first responder over the years, correct?
Correct.
How long have you done that?
Before I had children, and then once I kind of got into having kids, well, I have 3. Anyhow, I was a first responder at that point, and then I stopped because I just couldn't do it when the kids were little. And so then after, in the last, since 2014, I got back into being a first responder again.
What are your duties as a first responder?
We have, how our county is set up, we have pagers that now goes onto your cell phone when there's a call and you're available to go in your area, that you just get paged out to that call, and then you would just go.
Is that a volunteer position?
Volunteer, yes.
Do you still do that now?
Yes.
All right, I'd like to talk to you about August 30th, 2017. Were you paged out to a residence regarding an infant?
Yes.
Where were you at when you received the page?
I was in my kitchen.
And without giving your address, generally where's your residence at?
It's like about 3 miles from Alta Vista. We farm.
About what time did you receive that?
It was around 1 o'clock.
What did you do?
I got in, thank you. I got in my car and I went.
And did you have an understanding as to what you were going to?
Yes. The page came out as a 4-month-old, possibly dead. So my mind goes, okay, CPR, basic life support, respiratory. Well, I was going to be doing CPR on this child.
You've been to scenes with infants in distress before.
At work, I have seen infants in distress before, yes.
So how long did it take you to get to Alta Vista?
Not very long.
A few minutes?
Yeah.
Were you able to find the residence right away?
No, I missed the apartment 7. So the streets Hilltop goes north and south. So I was looking for the address on the north and south Hilltop, when in fact, and I had to call back in. And at the time that I called back in, I saw Tina Shoddick, who's the mailman. She was stopped, and at the same, and it was summertime. I had the windows down. At the same time, I was talking on the phone to get the address again. Then Tina was right there, and when he said apartment 7, then I knew where to go because I know those apartments.
And the apartments are somewhat in a block. It's a complex, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were just unsure which side of
Yes.
the complex to go to?
Yes.
And you said you ran into Tina Shoddick. Do you know her?
Yeah, she's a neighbor, yes.
All right, so did Tina help you get to the right address as well?
She at the same time that when I called back in, it came over. He said apartment 7, and then I just took off after that.
You arrived at the apartment.
Yes.
What did you do?
So I pulled up, and I pulled right up, and I saw a man, a woman, and a little girl, and I got on my car and I went running up to them and said, "Where's the baby?" nobody was showing any emotion, and the man goes inside, and I said, "Show me." And so he took me inside, we walked in, and we went to the back bedroom. He took me to the back bedroom, and it was dark, and it was stuffy, and there was a stench of urine there. I was looking for a crib. I couldn't see a crib. I said, "Where's the baby?" And he said, "In the swing." And it was dark. I said, "We've got to get some lights on in here. Turn the lights on." And he flipped the switch, and the lights came on. And he walked away, and he muttered something, and I don't know what he muttered.
What did you see when the lights came on?
Well, you could see the swing. It was facing an outside wall in the corner. And so then I went over so I could see Sterling, the baby. Found out that's what his name was. And to do my assessment, look, listen, and feel. His eyes were fixed and dilated, staring straight out. He had blood around his mouth, and I went to check a brachial pulse on him, and his arm was stiff and rigid and cold. All of his extremities were cold. His little feet were cold. His hands were clenched in a fist, and he wasn't breathing, and his clothes were like crusty.
When you saw Sterling, did you know that there was nothing you could do?
Yeah, there's no CPR. It's it just wasn't right.
Was he in clothing or blankets?
He had clothes on. The clothes that was on his chest was crusty. He had a blanket that was draped over him that was wet. And when I brushed up against that, when I touched that, there were bugs that flew from that.
When you say bugs, what did they look like to you?
Just little gnats, little. Yeah.
How big was this room?
It was a small room.
And you said that the swing was in the far corner facing the outside wall.
Correct.
So when you first walked in the room, could you see Sterling at all?
No.
You were just seeing the back of the swing.
After he turned the lights on, yes. Because I was looking for a crib yeah.
Did the room have windows in it?
There was blankets over the one window that was in there so that it didn't show any light.
What did the room feel like?
It was hot. It was stuffy. There was the stench of urine.
What did you do?
Well, after I did my assessment and realized that I couldn't do anything, I called back into the sheriff's department and asked for the sheriff to come and another medical examiner.
Why did you call the sheriff's department?
Because this was not right. Something was not right here.
Did Tina Shattuck come into the room at any time that you were there?
She came to the door and said, "Toni, what can I do?" And I told her to go out and be with the family. Yeah.
Who was the next person that arrived that you interacted with?
Jeremy McGrath.
Who's that?
And Jeremy McGrath is another medical examiner investigator, and he also runs and owns the ambulance service there in Chickasaw County.
How long did you stay at the scene?
I stayed there until law enforcement told me to leave.
You stayed with Sterling.
Yes.
While you were at the residence, did you ever leave Sterling?
No.
Did you see the defendant, Cheyanne Harris, at the house that day?
When I got there, yes.
Was she present in the courtroom?
I can't see her. She has her head.
If the judge could ask the defendant to move her hand from her face.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Yes.
With the purple shirt on.
Correct.
The record would reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
So noted.
What did you observe her doing? Did you only see her when you first arrived?
That is correct.
Did you ever talk to her?
No.
You said you saw a little girl. What did she look like?
Cute. She had a very nice dress on. It was very colorful. I have 3 daughters. It was kind of a dress that I would put them in for Easter or for a special occasion or something like that. Wasn't a play dress. It was a very nice fancy dress.
I'd like to show you a couple photographs. May I approach, Your Honor?
May.
I'm handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibits 2, 3, and 4. Do you recognize those photographs? Yes. Are those all photographs that were taken of Sterling while he was in the home?
Yes.
This time the state would enter or offer Exhibits 2, 3, and 4.
Any objection? None, Your Honor. They are admitted.
Permission to publish?
Any objection? Granted.
Could we have the lights out right back? I have up State's Exhibit 2. That's fine. Could you please tell the jury what they're looking at in this photograph?
So this is what you would see if you would have walked into the room and took a couple more steps, and that's where his swing was, sitting towards that wall there at where Sterling was laying.
In the top left corner of the photograph, we see what looks to be a quilt. Is that what was hanging over the window?
Yes. Yes.
There's also a pink blanket on the floor. Was that there when you went in, or did you move that blanket off?
I did not move that blanket.
How about the bottle by the wall? Had you moved that?
I didn't touch anything except no, I didn't touch anything of that.
Is it fair to say that you didn't move anything and what you touched was Sterling to see if there was a pulse?
Yes. The pulse and whether or not he was breathing and his extremities.
I'm going to put up State's Exhibit 3. Is this what Sterling looked like when you first came on him?
Yes.
You said this blanket was wet. Is that the blanket that we're seeing, the red and blue blanket on top of him?
Yes.
You felt
And
that?
yes. And that's also the blanket that when I tried to take a brachial pulse, that it moved that, and that's where the bugs.
You had described his arms as being stiff and his little hands and fists. Do we see that in the photograph?
Yes.
I'm going to put up State's Exhibit 4. Is that a closer up picture of Sterling than what you
Yes.
saw that day?
Yes. And again, yeah. And there appears to be stains on the car seat, and
Did you see a lot of discoloration on the blankets in the car seat and the swing?
yeah.
There's no question.
It was what?
It was just around his clothing was just crusty. It was hard. It was, yeah.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Any questions? I do think it's a good time to take a recess. We've absorbed quite a bit of information in 50 minutes, so let's take about a 10 or 15-minute recess. All rise for the jury. Let's shoot for 15 minutes and see where we're at. Okay. Mr. McAllister, I don't have 1 or 151. I don't have 1 or 151 uploaded. Okay, what is?
151, just to be clear, Your Honor, I'll double check, but it's a court exhibit. We're not going to send it back to the.
That's the transcript.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so that's why I have
The
these
one is a
one.
physical exhibit. Yep. It's all
I've
good.
been searching for the last 10 minutes.
I'm sorry, excuse
Oh,
me.
you're fine.
Yeah. And I'll double check with my paralegal on 151, make sure it gets into the system, okay?
Oh, that's fine.